It started with the sound of muffled sobs echoing down the empty hallway. The last bell had already rung, and most of the students had either gone home or gathered in the cafeteria for after-school clubs. But for Lena Morris, the shy 15-year-old who always kept her head down and her voice quiet, the day was far from over. She was halfway to her locker when a group of 4 older girls stepped out from behind a corner. They weren't just random troublemakers, they were the school's notorious bullies. Everyone knew them, and everyone avoided them. But Lena had somehow caught their attention earlier that week when she accidentally bumped into one of them in the lunch line. A spilled tray of food had been enough to seal her fate. "Come here, quiet mouse," one of them sneered, grabbing her backpack. Lena's heart pounded. She tried to pull away, but another grabbed her arm. Before she could scream, they dragged her toward the far end of the building, toward the girls' bathroom no one liked to use because it was always empty. Inside, they shoved her hard against the wall, her books scattering across the dirty tiles. "Think you can just ignore us?" one hissed. "You're gonna learn what happens when you make enemies." Lena's hands trembled as she whispered, "Please, just let me go." But her voice was so soft, it was almost swallowed by the sound of their laughter. What they didn't know was that just 2 floors above, her father, Special Agent Nathan Morris of the city's SWAT unit, was conducting a training drill with his team in the school's unused gym. They were preparing for a tactical response scenario involving hostage rescue when Nathan's radio crackled with a faint, urgent voice, the school's janitor. Captain Morris, I think there's trouble in the South Wing bathroom." Nathan froze. His daughter's last text that morning had told him she'd be in that part of the school after classes. Without a second thought, he signaled his team. Training drill or not, this was about to get real. Meanwhile, Lena was cornered. The bullies had locked the bathroom door, and one had already pulled out a phone, ready to film whatever they planned to do. Humiliation, fear, panic, it all crashed over her like a wave. She thought of her father, of how he always told her, "You're stronger than you think, Lena. Never let them break you." But right now, she felt broken. Suddenly, the bathroom door rattled violently. The bullies froze. A deep, commanding voice rang out. "Open the door, now." They exchanged nervous glances. The voice came again, sharper. "This is your one warning." The lock was shattered in seconds, and the door burst open. Nathan stood there in full tactical gear, his SWAT badge visible on his vest. Behind him, 6 other officers filled the doorway, their presence enough to make the bullies back up against the wall. "What's going on here?" Nathan's tone was icy, but his eyes immediately softened when they found Lena. She was shaking, tears streaming down her face. One of the officers stepped forward, securing the bullies and removing their phones. Nathan knelt beside his daughter, placing a steady hand on her shoulder. "You're safe now, sweetheart. I've got you." The principal arrived minutes later, informed of everything. The bullies were escorted out, their smirks gone, replaced by pale, silent fear. For Lena, it wasn't just about the rescue, it was about the way her father stood there, not as the SWAT captain everyone respected, but as her dad, who would tear through any locked door to protect her. That night, at home, Lena sat quietly at the kitchen table. Nathan poured her a cup of tea and sat across from her. "You know," he said gently, "sometimes bravery isn't about fighting back. Sometimes it's about surviving, about not letting them steal who you are." Lena managed a small smile. "I thought I was weak." Nathan shook his head. "No, you're the strongest person I know. And next time, you won't be alone." The next week at school, word had spread fast. No one dared to mess with Lena again, not because they feared her father, but because they'd seen something change in her eyes. She wasn't the quiet mouse anymore. She walked with her head a little higher, her steps a little firmer. The bullies faced suspension, mandatory counseling, and the loss of their online privileges for months. But more importantly, Lena gained something priceless, the knowledge that she was worth defending, worth standing up for, and that courage, once found, doesn't fade. By the end of the semester, she had joined the school's debate club. The girl who once avoided speaking up was now standing at a podium, her voice steady, her words clear. And whenever she glanced toward the back of the auditorium, she knew she'd see her father there, clapping the loudest. Because heroes don't just wear badges or carry gear. Sometimes, heroes are simply the people who show up when you need them the most, and never let you forget that you matter.